Welcome back, Voyagers. Today we will look at the procurement and supply in different markets. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more entertaining educational videos. Let's classify industries into primary, secondary, and tertiary activities. Primary activities. These are like the industries that gather raw materials from nature. Think of mining, where people dig up minerals like gold and coal from the earth. It's the first step in creating products. Secondary activities. Secondary activities are all about turning those raw materials into something useful. It's like when you take those mined minerals and use them to make jewelry or fuel for machines. This is the manufacturing stage where things get created from raw stuff. Tertiary activities. Tertiary activities are the services that support everything else. Think of it as the customer service for your jewelry store. You may offer repairs or provide information to customers. It's the behind-the-scenes support that keeps the business running smoothly. So industries are like a journey from digging up stuff, primary, making things from it, secondary, to providing helpful services, tertiary. These three categories help us understand and organize different types of businesses. Now let's simplify Michael Porter's 3 generic strategies for competing in an industry. Cost leadership. Imagine a race where everyone tries to be the fastest, but you aim to be the fastest while spending the least. Cost leadership is like winning the race by having the lowest cost of operation. It's about being the most efficient and cost-effective in your industry. Differentiation. Think of a shelf full of similar toys, but there's one that lights up and plays music. Differentiation is when your product or brand stands out as unique compared to others. It's about offering something special that customers love. Focus on a narrow niche segment. Picture a big playground with many kids playing, but you decide to focus on playing a specific game with a small group. Focusing on a narrow niche segment is like specializing in a small, specialized part of the market. You become the best at serving a specific group of customers. If a company isn't clear about which of these strategies to use, it's like being in a race without knowing if you want to be the fastest, the most unique, or focus on a specific game. This uncertainty is described as being stuck in the middle, and it can make it challenging to compete effectively. Segmentation in business is dividing a market into distinct consumer groups for targeted marketing and product development. Let us consider the following 4 segmentation techniques. Product-based segments. Price levels. Consider a smartphone manufacturer. They offer a premium line with the latest features and a budget-friendly line with fewer features. This segmentation targets customers based on their willingness to pay for high-end or budget phones. Features. Imagine a car company that promotes its vehicles based on safety features. They target customers who prioritize safety by offering advanced airbag systems and collision avoidance technology. Design. Think of a furniture store offering minimalist, modern designs alongside classic, ornate styles. They segment customers based on their design preferences for home furnishings. Buyer-based segments. Buyer strategy. Picture a clothing brand known for eco-friendly production. They attract environmentally conscious customers by focusing on sustainable materials and practices. Buyer size. An office supply store offers bulk discounts for large corporate orders. They cater to businesses with significant purchasing power, segmenting based on order size. Ownership. A chain of restaurants follows a franchise model. Franchisees must adhere to the parent company's standards and menu, creating segmentation based on ownership. Segments based on distribution channels. Direct sale versus distributors. A software company sells its products directly online but also partners with electronics stores. This segmentation depends on where customers prefer to purchase software. Direct marketing versus retail. An artisanal bakery promotes its products through social media and online orders, but also has a physical storefront. They segment customers based on shopping preferences. Exclusive versus non-exclusive outlets. A luxury watch brand selects specific boutiques to carry their watches, maintaining exclusivity. This segmentation attracts customers seeking prestige. Segments based on geography. Localities, regions, or countries. Different regions or countries have unique needs and regulations. For example, water companies can only serve a specific locality due to the cost of transporting water over long distances. Climate zones. A clothing retailer offers winter coats and warm clothing in cold regions, but focuses on lightweight summer apparel in hot climates. This segmentation caters to varying weather conditions. Country groupings. Companies exporting electronic gadgets may group countries with similar voltage standards to ensure their devices work seamlessly. This segmentation accounts for differences in electrical systems. Let's explore various industries and examine the differences among them. We start by diving into the thrilling world of manufacturing. Let's explore its objectives and drivers. Improve quality. Like a master blacksmith crafting a flawless sword, manufacturers aim to create top-notch products. Reduce costs. Manufacturers seek to cut expenses while maintaining quality. Faster throughput. Picture a skilled archer firing arrows swiftly. Manufacturers aim to speed up production. Increase flexibility. Think of an adaptable acrobat. Manufacturers want the agility to respond to changing demands. Driving forces. Consumer desires. Similar to customizing gadgets or sneakers to fit personal tastes. Intelligent products. Products like smartphones that seamlessly connect to our digital world. Time to market. Reducing the time it takes to bring products to consumers. Productivity. Producing more with fewer resources, like a factory running at peak efficiency. Cost efficiency. Finding ways to reduce costs without compromising quality. Governance. Large OEMs coordinate suppliers in a collaborative network. Ownership. Predominantly led by shareholders. Commodity versus non-commodity. Raw materials are like ingredients, while components and finished products are unique masterpieces. Now we delve into the dynamic world of construction, where dreams take shape. Our journey begins with construction's key objectives. Encourage investment. Imagine a bustling city with towering skyscrapers. Construction seeks funding for ambitious projects. Reduce regulatory risks. Construction aims to navigate regulations smoothly to minimize risks. Timeliness and quality. Like a master craftsman, construction values timely, high-quality work. Encourage innovation. Think of architects pushing boundaries with groundbreaking designs. Now, let's uncover the driving forces behind construction. Economic cycle. Construction's growth parallels the economy cycle, like a ship riding the tide. Commodity access. Access to affordable materials, like securing steel at a good price, fuels construction projects. Supply chain quality. A smooth, high-quality supply chain and skilled subcontractors are vital. Skilled workforce. Skilled artisans are essential for constructing magnificent structures. Innovative materials. Adoption of energy-efficient and sustainable materials drives innovation. In governance, architects, contractors, and manufacturers lead, increasingly guided by clients' visions. Ownership rests on partnerships and shareholders, ensuring stability. Materials are like commodities, while services, such as architectural designs, are unique and non-commodity, like blueprints for one-of-a-kind masterpieces. Now we embark on an exciting journey into the vibrant world of retail. Our voyage begins with the retail sector's key objectives. Grow market share. Picture a marketplace where your store's presence expands like a thriving garden. Increase brand awareness. Think of your brand becoming as recognizable as a famous logo, like the Golden Arches. Enhance customer relationships. Imagine building lasting bonds with shoppers like a trusted friend. Introduce new products. Envision launching innovative items that dazzle customers, like unveiling the latest gadgets. Now let's unveil the driving forces behind retail success. Economic growth and unemployment. Retail's prosperity mirrors the economy, like a sailboat catching favorable winds. Online shopping. Picture a wave of shoppers moving from traditional stores to online platforms. Data analysis. Harnessing data to understand consumer desires, much like a detective cracking a case. Social media influence. Social media gives consumers a powerful voice, like a town square where opinions matter. When it comes to governance, many retail markets are orchestrated by large retail groups using a global network of smaller suppliers, akin to a vast bazaar filled with unique vendors. Ownership in retail varies from franchises to sole traders and shareholders, offering different paths to success. Materials in food retailing are a mix of commodity and branded products, while other retailers deal largely in non-commodity items, similar to a farmer's market offering fresh produce alongside artisanal crafts. Now we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the financial sector. Our journey begins with the financial sector's primary objectives. Maintain stability. Imagine being the guardian of financial stability, ensuring economic calm amidst storms. Increase efficiency. Think of streamlining financial processes to perfection, like a well-oiled machine. Consumer protection. Picture yourself as a shield, safeguarding consumers' financial interests. Encourage investment and savings. Envision inspiring individuals to invest wisely and save for a secure future. Now let's explore the dynamic forces driving the financial sector's success. Capital availability. It's like having a treasure chest of capital for investing in promising projects. Central bank policies. Think of central bank policies as the winds of credit availability, influencing financial tides. Mergers and acquisitions. Imagine a chessboard where companies merge and acquire to gain strategic advantages. Corporate earnings. Like a barometer of success, corporate earnings indicate the sector's health. Emerging markets. The rise of new markets like China creates opportunities akin to discovering new lands. Governance in the financial sector involves government regulations, but increasingly, large institutions dominate the landscape as they offer an array of financial products and services, like a vast financial marketplace. Ownership in this sector is diverse, ranging from partnerships to shareholders, providing various avenues for participation. When it comes to commodities, some financial services, like insurance, are considered commodities, while others are specialized, like bespoke investment strategies tailored to unique client needs. Now we embark on a journey into the heart of the agriculture sector. Our journey begins with the agriculture sector's primary objectives. Increase production. Imagine fields bursting with abundant crops, feeding the world. Support food security. Picture yourself as the guardian of food security, ensuring everyone has enough to eat. Maintain food safety. Think of safeguarding food from farm to table, ensuring it's safe for consumption. Sustainable farming. Envision farms that flourish while preserving the earth for future generations. Now let's explore the powerful forces driving agriculture's growth. Climate change. Like an unpredictable weather pattern, climate change impacts crop patterns and sustainability. Population boom. The world's growing population demands more food, like a hungry village needing sustenance. Yield improvement. Imagine enhancing crop yields globally, like an alchemist turning lead into gold. Ethical procurement. The rise of ethical food practices is akin to a movement for a greener, fairer world. Food standards. Think of food standards as a shield against health risks, ensuring safe nourishment for all. In the governance of agriculture, large global food retailers increasingly oversee the vast network of food producers, like a grand symphony conductor guiding musicians. Ownership in this sector varies, from dedicated sole traders to cooperative efforts and shareholders, providing diverse approaches to agricultural success. Agriculture is largely a commodity-driven sector, with its focus on producing essential goods for global consumption. Now we're delving into the diverse and dynamic world of the services sector. Our journey begins with the services sector's primary objectives. High customer service. Imagine providing service so exceptional that customers become lifelong fans. Customer relationships. Picture building relationships that are as strong as the services you offer. Continuous improvement. Think of services as a well-oiled machine, always evolving and improving. Empowering staff. Envision a workforce empowered to go above and beyond for every client. Now let's explore the dynamic forces driving the services sector. High-quality staff. Like assembling a team of superheroes, having top-notch staff is essential. Linking services to products. Imagine offering not just services but complete solutions, like a one-stop shop for client needs. Differentiation. Think of services as unique fingerprints, setting you apart from the competition. In the governance of the services sector, it's largely composed of people-based businesses, where individuals are coordinated and managed by individual service companies, like a vibrant orchestra with each musician playing their part. Ownership in this sector is diverse, ranging from franchises to sole traders, partnerships, and shareholders, providing various paths to success. The services sector is largely non-commodity-based, focusing on tailor-made solutions that can't be boxed into one-size-fits-all packages. Finally, we're diving into the supply chain portfolio matrix, Kraljic Matrix, and its 4 distinct categories. In this matrix, we categorize suppliers into 4 groups based on 2 critical criteria. Importance. How crucial is the supplier to our operations? Supply risk. What's the level of risk associated with the supply from this source? Now let's unravel the 4 distinct categories within this matrix. Leverage. High importance, low risk. Imagine having many suppliers at your fingertips, where the risk of failure is low. It's like having an abundance of options in a buyer's market. Here, we leverage market competition to drive down prices, ensuring cost-effective procurement. Strategic. High importance, high risk. Picture suppliers that are not just important but critical to our own products or services. They come with high complexity, akin to delicate puzzle pieces. In this realm, we seek to form strategic partnerships, forging bonds that strengthen our supply chain. Routine. Low importance, low risk. Think of non-core items that simplify the procurement process. These are like everyday essentials bundled into larger contracts for efficiency. Our goal here is to streamline and optimize, ensuring smooth operations without unnecessary complexity. Bottleneck. Low importance, high risk. Visualize specialist services or products that are capacity constrained. These are like rare gems in our supply chain, where continuity of supply is paramount. We manage the risks diligently to ensure uninterrupted operations. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey. Subscribe to our channel for more entertaining and educational videos. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you really enjoyed our voyage. May your future endeavors be as exciting and successful as our adventure today.